The brutal hermit kingdom regime of North Korea does not have many allies, and to the extent that they're even an ally, we would say China is the biggest friend of North Korea. And United Nations sanctions have been imposed on North Korea since 2006 because of the country's nuclear tests and the rocket launches, etc. And recently, China started restricting imports of North Korean coal and sales of jet fuel under UN sanctions. And after North Korea conducted 4 nuclear tests, the UN Security Council passed a resolution in March which expanded UN sanctions, which really have the goal of withholding funds for the nuclear and ballistic missile programs of North Korea. And now China has announced a number of additional sanctions against North Korea. As I mentioned, we have these escalating bans on the sale of jet fuel to North Korea. And this has huge potential to totally put a stop to Pyongyang's state-owned airline, Air Korea, which, as you know, Lewis, it doesn't fly too many places. The planes aren't particularly nice. It's probably not likely that you have a choice of too many types of dessert in first class on Air Korea, if there even is such a thing. And as I mentioned, this is all happening after this global nuclear security summit held in Washington last week. And you might remember, Lewis, that President Barack Obama and Chinese President Xi Jinping said they are committed to denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. This is huge news, and at least part of the success can be attributed to President Obama for those recent talks. And this may be step 1A in an eventual demise of the North Korean regime, although early to say. But if you can't have jet fuel, if you can't develop those ballistic missiles that you so often use for political gain to the extent that you have any clout, that can be a real problem for a hermit kingdom like that of North Korea and Kim Jong-un.
That is true. Then you become desperate and you might have to go to other places to get the supplies you need. And so are they going to end up giving money to people that that we don't want to have, terrorist outlets, terrorist cells, or
well, they'd have to build those relationships.
Regimes?
They'd have to build those relationships in order to do that. I think the idea is they have such few friendships around the world that, yeah, obviously you can go places other than China for jet fuel, for example, but you're going to need to cultivate new relationships. And I don't need, there are some pretty bad people around the world who still don't have much of an interest in dealing with North Korea. So this could prove to be difficult for them. And even if we think ahead to a possible fall of the North Korean regime, it's not going to be a really fun big party. It's going to be an insane, massive international effort to help the people of North Korea. It will be very expensive for a long time. And it brings up questions of who is going to get involved there if we have an eventual fall of the regime in North Korea. Well, this would be a completely unique scenario.
Yeah, does the fall of that regime ultimately, inevitably end in a war? When you have someone like this in power, are they going to submit, or are they going to go out in a blaze of glory, as they'd put it?
It's unpredictable, right? Because this is really a singular situation. And then with regard to the people of North Korea, you have the people in the cities, especially Pyongyang, who are the sort of most brainwashed but the least poor. And then you have the people in the more rural areas of North Korea who are probably just more impoverished than brainwashed in many ways. It will be complex if and when it happens, but there is speculation that this is maybe the first of many steps towards the fall of the North Korean regime. And we'll be following. I mean, it is utterly compelling and horrifying what the people of North Korea have been living through. And so many documentaries now have brought us video and images and stories of what is going on there. And Lewis, we're trying to actually get a North Korean defector on the show. Any news on how that's going?
It's difficult, yes, but it's a work in progress.